Most lifters think that moving the weights from point A to point B during the exercise is enough, but this is wrong. If you're not controlling torque and tension through every millimeter of your repetition, you will not stimulate muscle growth. So let me show you why one perfect rep can build more muscle than 5 sloppy ones. You can spend years in the gym doing thousands of reps and still fail to grow, simply because your reps are wrong. I'm Dr. Nash Jocic, former bodybuilding champion. I have competed 46 times and won 17 titles. I've been in bodybuilding for over 40 years, and during that time I've also coached over 3,500 clients and helped them to get in the best shape of their lives. I published 10 ebooks which are fully loaded with everything you always wanted to know about bodybuilding: muscle growth, fat loss, training for beginners, nutrition, lifestyle change, and similar subjects. So if you want to expand your knowledge, simply click on the link below in the comments and you can access my ebooks. Today we are going to break down the perfect rep, not the one that looks good on your Instagram post, but the one that actually stimulates growth. And this is where science meets training, where biomechanics and muscle fiber physiology explain why some lifters have great results performing certain exercises, while the others performing the same exercises have absolutely none. So let us decode it. Your muscle doesn't know how many sets you're doing. The muscle will simply respond to the set and intensity that you applied through the correct form. So if your reps are sloppy and rushed, you will not have results. Your muscles will not respond. So let us start by understanding what actually happens inside the muscle when you perform the right way. Inside every muscle, there are thousands of motor units. Every motor unit is connected with a group of muscle fibers. So some motor units are smaller, some are bigger, and the brain recruits these motor units in specific order. It starts with slow endurance fibers, which are type 1, and then moves to the larger, more powerful type 2A and 2B muscle fibers, and this is called Henneman's principle. So there is a problem. If your reps are rushed and poorly done, you will never experience the maximum contraction of most important muscle fibers that will stimulate growth, which are type 2A and 2B. So these fast-twitch muscle fibers, the ones that grow the most, they are only activated under maximum tension, full control, and deep fatigue. So remember that. So it's not only the weights that you move in whatever form, but you also need to understand that this most muscle fibers responsible for growth only respond and they're activated under maximum tension, full control, and deep fatigue. So mechanical tension is the real trigger for growth. And this is why you have to pay attention not just for the weights that you lift, but also to mechanical tension, time under tension, and also the form. You need to perform every rep in perfect form. Let me explain to you what every repetition is made of. So there are 3 parts of every repetition. There is an eccentric or the lowering phase, there is isometric or the pause or transition, and this is concentric. This is the lifting or contracting position. So they are known as positive, concentric, and negative eccentric. Also you have isometric. This is, for example, when you come to the top of the movement and you fully contract for a moment your muscle performing, let's say, barbell curls. So most lifters are mainly concerned with lifting, meaning concentric part of the repetition, while they're not paying attention to isometric and also the most important part of your repetition, which is eccentric or lowering. Now, the problem is that people don't understand that your muscle fiber growth is stimulated more during the eccentric part of the repetition, so lowering under the full control, obviously, rather than concentric. So while concentric contributes anywhere to 30 to 40% of muscle growth, eccentric part of repetition contributes anywhere from 60 to 70% of muscle growth. So I can say with a lot of confidence that actually the bodybuilding is all about lowering the weight rather than lifting. And this is the biggest problem, because most of the people are always concerned with lifting. Nobody will ever say how much weight can you lower during squats, or how much weight can you lower during bench press. Everybody is obsessed with it. How much can you lift? This is true for powerlifters, but for bodybuilders, if you're trying to build muscle, that is completely out of equation. You have to forget about the lifting part. You have to focus more on the lowering part, because, as I mentioned, eccentric part of the repetition contributes to 60 to 70% of muscle growth, while concentric, shortening, contracting part of repetition contributes to 30 to 40%. So obviously you need both, but more important is the one which is eccentric. Now, let me tell you how in practice the perfect rep looks like. First of all, you need to start stable. So whatever you do, stability is very important. You need to, if you're doing legs, if you're doing squats, you need to make sure that you have positioned yourself properly and that you're stable, that you're not going to have balancing problems. When you do bench press as well, you need to put your feet on the ground, and you need to make sure that you're stable. That is required for every single exercise. So basically, stability is the number one reason for perfect rep, number one factor. Number two is you need to initiate movement with the targeted muscles. So if you're doing bench press, for example, don't only be concerned about lifting that weight from point A to point B. Make sure that you are actually using your chest. If you're training your back, make sure that you're using your back, not just arms. Position yourself as in such a way that when you start moving and you're going through the motion, rep after rep, the muscle that you're targeting is the main activator, the main actor in this particular set, in this particular exercise. Number three, you need to lower the weights under control, because if you don't do that, you're going to lose the most beneficial part of the repetition, which is eccentric, as I explained. And also you will preserve your joints, tendons, and ligaments, because the whole effort during the movement, if you're controlling the negative part, lowering, will be on your muscles rather than on your joints. This is most common reason that when people don't pay attention to this control of the lowering part, people get injured because they're trying to bounce the weight off the chest, bounce the weight from the floor, basically using their knees or shoulders more than anything else, more than targeted muscles, and this actually causes injuries. Now, number four, when it comes to perfect rep, you need to make sure that you, for a brief moment, squeeze the muscle at the top in every exercise that will allow you full contraction. So, for example, if you're performing biceps curls, when you come to the top of the movement, squeeze that biceps. If you're performing, let's say, pull down, when you come down, fully contract your muscle for a moment. And in every exercise that allows full contraction, because not every exercise allows that, for example, bench press doesn't allow that, you have to use that benefit. And number five factor for perfect rep is actually fully controlling the lifting phase as well. I see every day people simply rushing into that concentric part of the repetition. First of all, let's say doing squats or doing hack squats or leg press, they bounce the weight, and then that concentric part literally lasts part of the second, and then they fly down again. So instead of that, you need to control that on the way up. So ideally, it would be to do a second or two concentric part, and also lowering part should be at least 2 seconds, maybe up to 3, 4, 5 in some cases. But also concentric part has to be controlled, and it should last a second or two. So if you do, for example, 10 reps, as I have explained, and if your concentric part is, let's say, 2 seconds and your lowering is 4, you will perform time under tension, which is 60 seconds. So that set will be phenomenal. It will stimulate everything that is needed for muscle growth. It will stimulate myofibrillar growth because of absolute exhaustion and activation of your type 2 1 and type 2B muscle fibers, but also it will stimulate metabolic stress, or known as sarcoplasmic growth. So with this 60-second set, this is simply phenomenal. You are hitting the nail in the head. And that can apply for all upper body muscles. If you, for example, do 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down, then the set will last a little bit shorter, last 40 seconds, but this is still very, very good, because your time and attention for upper body muscles should be anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds, and time and attention for lower body muscles should be anywhere from 45 to 90 seconds. So all these 5 factors are very important when it comes down to perfect reps, so pay attention to them. Now, let me tell you a few words about the most common mistakes when it comes to performing your reps. So most common rep mistakes are, number 1, using momentum. So if you're throwing the weight, if you're using momentum to lift up, you're basically losing all these potentials, all these benefits that I've just explained in the previous part, where you need to control your positive and your negative part of the repetition, concentric and eccentric. So not only that, but you're risking injuries, which are very common, especially knee injuries, elbow injuries, shoulder injuries, and they all happen mainly because of that momentum of bouncing the weights. Number 2, partial reps. So quite often, because people are always hypnotized with these heavy weights, super heavy weights, and they don't perform full rep. So they don't fully stretch the muscle, neither to fully contract the muscle. So instead of piling 10 plates each side on the leg press and doing maybe 1/4 of a repetition, you should take that weight off and make sure that you perform full range of motion, and that you implement all these important factors for perfect rep that I just mentioned, like controlling positive, controlling negative, and also in exercise which allow that fully contracted with an isometric contraction. Number 3 is bouncing or jerking. So often people jerk the weight, especially when they do movements which allow that, like biceps curls or shoulder press or lateral raises or dumbbell flies. And this is, again, simply avoiding the most important parts of perfect rep, which is, again, controlling the positive and controlling the negative. Number 4, no contraction focus. So the mind isn't connected to the muscle, because people, again, are often simply obsessed with lifting the weight. So they become the tool, and the weight becomes the end. It should be other way around. We are not power lifters. Nobody cares how much weight you lift, by the way. And if you want to build muscle, then you have to change that. You have to use the weight as a tool and your body as the end, or your targeted muscle. There is another very important subject that I want to mention, and this is mind-muscle connection. Very often I have even clients who perform certain exercise, but they don't feel the muscle. For example, they do leg press and everything looks great, but the connection, mind-muscle connection, is not there, so they don't feel the muscle. This is not good, because the muscle is not going to respond that way. This is purely mechanical motion. So you need to get involved, because we humans, we are not machines. We are not car engines. So we are not just performing mechanically. We are also animated creatures. So we need to be related to the muscle during the set. We need to have that mind-muscle connection, which will prove itself through the feeling of targeted muscle. So if you're not focused, if you're thinking about your business during the training session, if you're thinking about your date or anything else, that focus will simply fly away, and you will be performing like a machine. Bodybuilding is not machinery, it's a human activity, and therefore it requires all our human abilities, especially feeling. So if you don't get that feeling from if you don't feel the muscle, but simply perform because somebody said, oh, you need to do 4, 5 sets, 10 reps, and you do it expecting results, that is not going to happen. You need to get that mind-muscle connection. I, for example, literally psych myself up before every workout. Today I'm going to do chest, for example, and while I'm driving to the gym, I'm thinking about my chest workout and preparing myself psychologically for a few particular exercises, and while I start training, I'm already there. I was there before the training session. So my mind-muscle connection is 100%. And I do my training session not just to perform certain program, but more importantly, to feel the muscle that I'm training, to feel that I'm stretching the muscle, that I'm fully contracting, to feel that I'm putting enough mechanical tension on it, that the set lasts enough, and obviously I get great reward through the feeling of used muscle, which one of those rewards is actually the pump. So now how are we going to apply this information in real training? First of all, as I mentioned, you have to pay attention to time under tension. So for upper body muscles, anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds is a very good timing. So you have enough time to stimulate all muscle fibers, all three different types, not just one. And this is only going to happen if you have enough time under tension. So 30 to 60 seconds for upper body muscles. For legs, anywhere from 60 to 90 seconds. This will be anywhere from 8 to 12 reps, depending on how slow you perform your reps. But again, that time under tension is critical for optimal stimulation of muscle growth. Another one, the second thing that you should bear in mind is training to failure. More often than not, I see people literally killing themselves to perform another rep, last rep. They need to do that last rep. Somebody explained to them that this is the most important thing. So after they reach their positive failure with a correct repetition, they will struggle for another 1 or 2 or 3, which are all junk volume. Those reps are not good enough. They're usually in wrong form, not to mention how dangerous they are. But this is what I try to do in every set. So you need to understand that it's scientifically proven, and not just scientifically, but in practice for over 50 years in bodybuilding, it's proven that if you go near to failure, you don't have to go to failure, you're going to have the same benefits as if you went to failure. The only difference is that you will be able to do more sets and therefore accumulate more quality reps than if you go to failure in every set. Going to failure in every set will limit you down to 2 to 3 sets per exercise. While if you are not going to failure, if you are shy 1 or 2 reps of failure, you will be able to perform 5, 6, even more sets per exercise. At the end, when you multiply high number of sets with quality reps, you will end up probably twice more than doing to failure with less number of sets. And also your central nervous system won't be exhausted, so you will be much easier. It will be much easier to recover for the next session. So your next session will be much more productive than when you destroy your central nervous system by performing every set to failure. Next day you come and train anything you want. That training session is going to suffer. So central nervous system is also important. It's not just particular muscle. So for the ones who really want to go to failure, if you really want to do that, I will advise you to do that only one exercise per muscle group, and make sure that that exercise is last. Because if you do your set to failure, only one set to failure, in every exercise, if you do in the first exercise, every other exercise will suffer because of your central nervous system exhaustion. So if you want to do that set with 2 failure, only one, in one exercise per muscle group. But you don't have to do it, so it's entirely up to you. So let me summarize all of this for you, and let me explain what makes a perfect rep. So number 1, this is the full range of motion. Number 2 is controlled tempo. Number 3 is constant tension. Number 4 is complete focus on contraction. And number 5 is absolute control from the first inch to the last. So only reps like this will count. So make your reps count. Make your sets be productive. Because if you don't do this type of reps, you will not stimulate muscle growth, and you will be increasing the chances of injury. So if you want an intelligent approach to training, make sure again that you use full range of motion, meaning the muscle will be fully stretched and fully contracted in every rep. in control tempo, which means that you're paying attention to your eccentric part, which should be at least 2 seconds, maybe 2, 3, or 4. Concentric should be 1 to 2, everything controlled. Constant tension, so you don't go all the way down and you stop on your weight, as people do. Doing bench press, they go up and they stay, and then they bounce the weight and they stay up again. This is the same with squats, bouncing, going up, stay, breathe 3 times, and then go down again. So that is not a set. This is just a mockery. So tension, constant tension is very important. You have to be completely focused on the contraction, because without focusing, you're not going to achieve mind-muscle connection, as I explained, which is critical for feeling the muscle, to be involved in what you're doing. And you have to have absolute control of every inch in your set, from the top to bottom, from the first to the last set. So only these characteristics of perfect sets will take you to the optimized muscle growth. So guys, I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel. If you didn't, like the video and also send me your comments. I really appreciate your experience and your sharing your stories. And let me remind you once again that I have published 10 ebooks which are fully loaded with detailed information about everything you always wanted to know about bodybuilding, about muscle growth, fat loss, training for beginners, nutrition, lifestyle change, and similar subjects. So if you want to enrich your knowledge, please click the link below in the comments and you can access my ebooks. Also, watch this video in which I offer other services and explain all about them. And I explain to you how I can help you personally, one-to-one, to achieve the best possible results via telephone consultations, personalized training programs, and nutritional programs, and also via online coaching. And for people who live in London, of course, personal training. So until the next video, I wish you all the best.